Sometimes you have started a painting following the tips and rules you know that will help you. You picked a subject, a theme, and an emotion to portray. You start working on your composition and then on your values. On your second and third sessions, you start working on your colors. You select your hues, and you even start working on some patterns and textures. And then you don't like it. It's not working. And now what? Can I save it? Should I start over? What do you do with a painting that is failing? Hi, welcome to Rebecca channel. Today I want to show you how I failed a painting. We all have failures, and you will as well. It is the natural process of learning and improving. We have to figure out when we can save our idea or when we simply need to start over. On my video about how to start a painting, I show you the first steps to follow. Pick a theme, a subject, and an emotion. Work on your composition and then your values, before anything else. This is the stage I ended up with an almost completed composition and my values laid down in earthy tones. On my next session, I started to work on the girl's face. So step number 1, mix the skin tones. I used titanium white, cameo red, yellow ochre, and turquoise, and mix them until I get a hue that is more or less matching my own skin. I then work on creating a light and a dark version of this hue. I added a little bit more yellow, a tiny bit of red, and a lot of more white for the lighter tone. And I added more turquoise and some burnt sienna for the darker tone. When you are mixing your colors, remember to check them against your gray value scale. In this case, my darker tone is almost the same value as my middle tone, so I proceeded to make it darker in value. I ended up with these 3 tones, then I mixed some of them, so I ended up with 5 values of my skin tone. And I was ready to go and paint the face. To paint the face now, I'm using flat bristle brushes only. I normally start with my mid values and leave the darkest and the lightest for the end. I work her face, her hand at the same time, because they are both more or less on the same plane of view. I picked a pinkish tone for her headphones and a turquoise for the sweater. I'm still using the same pigments I have in her face, so that everything is matching. But I have added a little bit of ultramarine blue and ivory black in some of the darks. And this is how my painting looked by the end of the second session day. Third day, now I work on the fungi. I'm still using flat bristle brushes. Sometimes I take advantage of the canvas texture, laying the brush softly to create a textured effect. Remember this, you don't always have to use your brushes on the same way. To paint this, I follow the same steps I did when painting the skin tones. I pick my hue and I create at least 3 values out of that hue. There will be many more details and subtleties later on, but at first, try to work on just 3 values for each part of your painting. Start simple and add complexity as you go on later sessions. By the end of this day, everything looks very warm to me. So I change again my screen to a colder tone. Then I work on her hair, for which I'm using 2 synthetic angle brushes. The angle brushes I find fantastic to work on fur or hair. Finally, I decide to have some fun and I add a subtle pattern in the background. You can purchase pre-made stencils, or you can make your own ones with an X-Acto knife or with a Cricut machine. And this is how my third session finishes. Voila! Now comes the moment to analyze what you have done and plan for the next steps. Figure out what needs to be changed, improved, etc. I like to take a picture and desaturate the color so I can study my values. The fungi still need a lot of work, and the pattern in the background I think is too strong. So I know I want to have the values of the pattern closer to the background. I also need the darker values of her face to be darker. Back to the colors. I think her face needs to be warmer, and the background as well. I also don't like these fungi here. I'd rather just change them to be more like the other ones. And the one I've been using on the fungi is too cold. I think it will be better if I use more turquoise, making this blue on the fungi warmer, like the warmth on her sweater. So I worked these ideas on Photoshop. Warmer face and background, warmer blue hue for the fungi. I'm still unsatisfied with the fungi. Should I change the hue of the big round one here? Or should I just get rid of it and use a different fungi? I don't know. I don't even know anymore if the fungi idea works. Will I be able to make it work? Should I just get rid of them and replace it with a mysterious light coming from down here? I will have to work the background in some abstracted manner without making it too obtrusive. I'm not convinced. This is what I do when I'm not sure if can I rescue the painting by doing some small changes, or can I rescue it by doing radical changes, or should I just simply toss it? When I don't know what to do, I park it. Yes, I put it aside and I work on something else for a while. I will come back to it after a couple of weeks and see how I feel about it. Of course, if I'm working on a commission and this happens, you don't have the luxury of time. This has happened to me in some commissions, and what I did was simply get it out of the way and start a new one. But if you don't have timing as a problem, then it's better to put the work aside and give it time and come back to it with a fresh mind. This is one of the reasons why I love working on several paintings at the same time. You may need sometimes to wait for a paint layer to dry before you keep working on it, and sometimes you are also going to get stuck, so it's good to park it and then work on something else in the meantime. I will let you know in a future session what I end up doing with this painting. Will I rescue it? Will I toss it? I don't know. But I hope that sharing this failure with you helps you feel better about your own failures. Meanwhile, as always, remember to keep growing your talent. Bye-bye!